The Vanity Project, Episode 6, A World of Dreams. I think I got the right place. Yeah, I'm depositing something at the archive. I'm going to the film traffic.
Hello.
Hi, I have some materials to drop off for you guys.
Okay.
Sure. Nick?
Yes.
Yes, hi, I'm Dan.
Nice to meet you, Dan.
Brody was in touch with you about Student Confidential.
Yeah. It's heavy, I think. On November 22nd, 2024, I drove the original film elements for Student Confidential to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences archive. I think this is the last one. I got it. I helped load the boxes into the receiving area, where they would eventually be inspected and cataloged by one of the archivists there. This is the internegative. Okay. The Academy has a strict rule for no recording in the archive, so I had to shut off my phone here. Inside the building, as my receipt for the elements was being written, I looked around at the stacks of other films that had recently been dropped off. The first title I saw sitting there was a print of Doris Wishman's legendary 1960s sexploitation movie, Bad Girls Go to Hell. In fact, it wasn't the only Doris Wishman movie I saw. My eye was also caught on a different shelf by a can labeled Deadly Weapons, Wishman's early 1970s movie about stripper Chesty Morgan, who in the movie uses her breasts to kill people. In fact, it was remarkable how many weird and offbeat movies I saw sitting around in there. Student Confidential was going to be in good company. One of the archivists, Janet Reinschmidt, gave me a short tour. We went through a series of clean, very well cared for rooms. It was getting colder and colder as we passed into each new area, and each of these rooms had shelves and shelves of films in uniform blue canisters, all carefully labeled. At one point, Janet walked me over to a can that contained part of the original negative for the Indian film Pather Panchali from 1955. She opened the canister and showed me a piece of the negative, which now looked like something you'd find at the bottom of a garbage can. It was badly decomposed, shrunken, and curled up. It looked a little like the skin of a snake that's just been shed. She said they had only managed to pull about 30% of the image out of this negative by meticulously scanning each frame. And this was the negative for a movie that always makes the list of the most important films of all time. In the same way that it had only been luck that I managed to see the very last screening of Student Confidential, it had only been luck that Richard's film had managed to survive. In fact, the internegative of Student Confidential, which is a secondary printing element used for creating the 35mm theatrical film prints, was badly warped, covered in debris, and falling off its reels. The original camera negative of Student Confidential, though, was in perfect shape. When Joe Rubin scanned it, it was likely the third time in its history it had ever been run through a machine, the second time when it was assembled to create the finished film, and the time before that when that very film ran through the camera as the movie was being shot. I stopped by Joe Rubin's office when he was digitally scanning the negative, and the images I watched being captured were immaculate. They were so clear, it was like looking through a window back in time. Over the years, I would sometimes update my teenage daughter on this weird journey I was on between my other writing and directing projects. When I had initially told her I needed to fly to Florida to meet Richard, she said to me, "Dad, this is your unskippable side quest." It raised the question, what was driving me to pursue all of this? Why did I keep replaying the memory of sitting in that theater when I was 17 experiencing this movie? What spoke to me about that? Again, when I called Richard after we had opened up the boxes of film materials and I had realized I had rescued his film, I said, "We did it." And he said, "No, you did it." And he was right. Richard had allowed for me to do this. I kept turning that over in my head. Incredibly, it was the first time I had asked what is a very basic question about all of this, which is, what gave me the right to save this movie from its own creator, who had set about to destroy it. Like, who am I to think I would know better than the person who made this thing? This man who had spent years pushing this boulder uphill, who then had lived with it for the rest of his life and told me again and again he had been tormented by it. Why did I think I knew better than him? All through this journey, again and again, I kept imagining an end goal, to see the movie in a theater again, just as I had when I was 17, to recapture that moment. It was like this quest to rescue this film and share it with people was a way for me to travel back to a time when I dreamed of making my own films, before I learned something that Richard has been completely and utterly articulate about, that while not achieving a dream is a sad thing, achieving it can be another kind of hurt. Long before I made my own movies, I sat at that all-night movie marathon and watched Richard, bigger than life, projected on the Somerville Theater screen, and along with the rest of the crowd, I had laughed. I mean, what else could 17-year-old me do with that kind of sincerity that I was witnessing? And then years passed, and one night I sat in a different movie theater where they were premiering a movie I had made. And at one point, a drunk person in the audience at this film festival loudly laughed during a quiet, serious moment that I had written. This is a sort of rite of passage for literally every filmmaker I know. They all have some version of this moment when you try your best and someone laughs at you. And the effect is profound because that's the moment you realize it's too late. You've put yourself out there. That's the moment where you are now irreversibly part of this thing that you love. You can't just sit in the dark where no one can see you. It's like when you make a movie, you walk out of the audience, through the screen, and you can never return because you have to grow up. Richard Horian was once a phantom in my life. Now, at any given time, my phone might buzz and I look down and it says, he's calling me. I am incredibly grateful for this. And on every one of our calls, I get to ask him for any more details he might remember from making Student Confidential, mining him for any memory he has, any stray fact he might have forgotten to tell me. And then one day, I received an email from Richard. As opposed to one of his typical emails, there was no message. It was just a scanned attachment. When I clicked on it, I saw it was a set of test results from a neurologist. Richard had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I was heartbroken, and I can't imagine how Richard felt. In the time that I had known him, Richard had always been able to tell long stories, summoning memories of his movies and his adventures in business. He prided himself on the cleverness of his inventions, on this incredible life he had had, as someone who had made $1 million and never worked for anyone other than himself. And now he told me he was starting to lose the ability to recall certain things, mostly words for now. He was also dizzy from some new medications he was on, and that his ability to get through the day was in flux. Sometimes, according to Richard, he still operated at a 10, sometimes at a 3. I had found Richard late in his life, and because of my love of his work, we had formed a bond. And now it seemed like this bond was going to dissolve. When I checked in on him in the months after his diagnosis, Richard never wanted those calls recorded. But one day, I got him on the phone because I had something special to share with him that I thought would cheer him up. A link to the new transfer of Student Confidential, digitally remastered from his original negative. I had, of course, seen this movie countless times, and this new scan was stunning. Go ahead and click that link.
I got to put it on full screen. Do I get to put sound on?
Yeah. What do you see? You see the title?
Oh, you changed the credits.
No, those are your credits. Those are your credits from when you finished the film the first time.
Why they look so clean?
All right, just wait until you get to the picture. What do you see on screen right now?
Oh, now it's full screen. Oh,
Do you hear your music?
I hear it very clearly. I got to hear it louder. It's good
Turn it
music.
up.
Wow. The janitor looks great.
I think they have to do some color balancing here. You see that the walls right now are
Yeah, so he
teal
looks a
looking.
little purple.
So this is just right off the negative. I think they just set it as at one level. This is before the color correction has been done. So now we'll get to see Susie, right?
Holy shit. Oh, Susie, you magnificent creature, you.
I mean, when was the last time you saw it looking so clear? I mean, you're looking at a scan of the negative. You
I
know,
haven't seen this in 20 years, maybe 30.
and remember that the negative that was scanned, I mean, that's the actual film that went through the camera that you shot this with. You know, that was what was running through the camera back in March and April of 1985 when you shot this.
We can sell this shit, you know?
Yeah.
Now, how could people criticize this movie? This is good. Look at the camera work. Come on.
Yeah, Jim Dixon did a great job, didn't he?
Boy, Dixon's doing a good job. Look at Wasco's set on that slum dwelling. Wow, it's beautiful. Look
Yep. And there's
at
a
all
lot
the
of
detail Wasco put into that. You should
yeah.
call him up and congratulate him. Tell him it's one of his best sets he ever made. Look at that stove he got out of the junkyard. It's beautiful.
Now you can see it. You can see how incredible it can look, right?
Yeah.
So did this cheer you up?
Yeah, it did. This is looking good. You did a good job.
If you made a list of every director who ever made a feature film, most directors never get beyond making just one. Maybe two, maybe three at the most. The mean average is skewed by the people lucky enough to have long careers. So being a film director is an odd profession. It's a craft, but the vast majority of people who do it aren't able to practice their craft. Most of them don't get a chance to keep doing it. And that's one way of looking at the entire industry of Hollywood. A place where everyone but a tiny group of writers, directors, actors are all routinely denied the opportunity to do the thing that they love. And when you get to do it, often you fail in real time for everyone to see. Like for an audience at 7 a.m. during an all-night movie marathon who laugh, thinking they know better than the filmmaker. But maybe you get lucky and you inspire someone. Maybe just one person. So in this experience you had watching the movie again for the first time in however many years and seeing it crystal clear, and do you feel like you made something beautiful?
I felt more like I made something necessary to help us look at ourselves.
Wasn't that the project of your concept album?
Yeah, and that's also the process of Williamstown.
Yeah, that's, I think,
More so again, times 10.
It sounds like what you're saying is the function of art is to let other people know that they're not alone, or that's one of the functions of art.
That is one of the functions of art.
And that's the art that you were making.
In Student Confidential, what might be obvious if you look at it enough is that Richard Horian, that's me. I was every one of the characters in that damn film, except for Paula Sorensen. The character, my wife, she was the only character that was elevated beyond the counselor. I got to be more like her. I got to have a grip on reality. I have to become part of the human race and become more self-reliant. I have to join the human race. I have to become part of humanity and take care of myself. He needs to get some help. He can't do it by himself. He's tried and he's failed. He needs to go outside and get some help.
The movie feels to me like a kind of exorcism, a self-exorcism.
I've never heard that before, but that's a very interesting and probably very accurate analysis. I never thought of it.
Do you think you got any further from that character of the counselor that you wrote for yourself back then, 40 years ago, than to the person you are now? Did you learn any of those lessons?
No. I learned to be that the world is the world, and most things are my fault. That the world doesn't care. I thought that the world was against me. The world was, at fault. The world doesn't give a damn about me. The world is spinning at the same rate, 25,000 miles per hour, 24 hours a day, takes one revolution, and it doesn't care what I do. And anything that I do is not going to make it spin any faster or any slower. So that has helped me a great deal, especially with depression. It's not other people that are making me depressed. It is me that is making me depressed. So I have learned to internalize depression and make it a companion. It is a lonely traveler. It is a lonely companion. It's an old friend.
I know it's lonely, what you're describing, dealing with depression. And, I just want to let you know you may feel that way, but you are not alone. With this movie, you reached out and did touch me. And I think anyone who sees the movie will share in your sensibility and who you are for those, 95 minutes. And I think that's really wonderful. Someone once said that the reason we go to movies is so we don't feel alone anymore. And I feel like with your movie, it is an old friend. And it was a friend that instantly, from when I saw it, it made me feel like I had some kind of new friend. I had met this new exciting person. And yeah, try to remind yourself of that next time you feel lonely. Okay. And I'm incredibly grateful that we have gotten to know one another and that I'm able to tell your story a little bit. And as I've said to you many times, I think you should be really proud of what you did back then with both of your movies and your record and all your incredible creative projects, because really your inventions are also part of your art, You've had an incredible life, and there's more to it to come, of course, but this is just me patting you on the back to tell you I love you, and I'm very happy to have gotten to know you and through your art and then now in person.
Well, except for one thing.
Yep.
I am a miserable failure because I'm a coward. I'll end my life in failure. If I just would have had the guts and the nerve and the fortitude to find the courage to do the ultimate, then I would have done it. Then I would have done the thing that I should have done, that my life will end up going unfulfilled. Orson Welles did Citizen Kane. Well, I have a masterpiece that is better than Citizen Kane. I have a masterpiece that is better than Death in Venice. But I didn't pursue it. I just kept on working on it and working on it and working on it. And in my head, it is finished. The third image. That is the name of the motion picture. In my head, it is done. But I can't do it. I will be dead. I can't finish it. I do not have the strength. I do not have the time. I do not have the energy. But my God, what a motion picture. It is completely unique. It is completely different. It is a complete invention. There's nothing like it. There's nothing ever been made that is like it. It is so different that it is a complete invention that is unique upon the world. And I will die with it. And I will explain it to nobody. I will give it to nobody because nobody else can do it. It is in my head, and that's where it will stay. Now, how's that for a failure? On my epitaph, it shouldn't say, oh, he had a full life, he had an interesting life. No, it's unfulfilled. I never did a third image. I never did it. The ultimate film that I should have done to end all films. No more films after the third image. Everybody, put your crayons away. You can't do anything after the third image. Because on my tombstone, all I can say now is, at least he tried. That's the best I can say.
Well, can I speak to that?
Yeah, sure.
I think you could look at the life, anyone's life, through a different lens than, well, here are the things they intended to do that they did not get to, and here are the things that they did. That includes everybody, right? When you mention Orson Welles and Luciano Visconti, you know how those guys died? With the same exact feeling that you have about thinking about, God, I wanted to do this thing that I didn't get to. I mean, think about Orson Welles' life. What a
Yeah,
miserable,
poor Orson.
right? Well, poor Orson. And then I think poor Richard, man. And then I think, well, remember that yes, you did do something beautiful, and every life is an unfinished story. So maybe there's a different perspective of looking at it and not lingering on the things that you wish you had done, because that's just the story you're telling yourself. And that, I think, is your friend loneliness, your friend depression whispering in your ear. But I think in the other ear, if you listen closely, you might be able to hear another story of your life, which is you did some great fucking things. And I would, I know you don't drink, but if you did drink, I would pour yourself a Macallan 12 year, like just like what you bought me. And by the way, sent through the mail illegally. You're not supposed to send liquor through the mail without a
I
license.
didn't
But
know that.
it shows you, well, they didn't catch you, so everything's fine. In August of 2025, I once again went to my friend Jim's studio and sat down to moderate a director's audio commentary for Severin Films' forthcoming home video release of Student Confidential that I was producing. Director's audio commentaries for film fans are like the gold standard of extra features. They're a sort of seal of approval on a movie, ever since the first one appeared on a Laserdisc in the early 90s. Richard was in his house in Florida on the other end of a video link, and sitting and watching his movie that day with him was a kind of culmination of this journey. Over the previous year, his mood had fluctuated a lot for obvious reasons. He was always filled with anxiety about his health, about problems with his computer, about really anything that was preoccupying him. But for this commentary, he rose to the occasion. He was engaged, funny, telling great stories about the making of the film. It was a total success. I couldn't see Richard as we recorded this, just hear his voice in my headphones. But when we ended and the film stopped, his face appeared on screen in front of me, and he was smiling. Despite Richard's diagnosis, true to his nature, the incredible obstacle he now faced ignited his instinct not to give up. Years ago, when I had initially gotten in touch with Richard and expressed my admiration and really my awe at his films, he talked a lot about his second movie, Williamstown, a project that was closer to his heart than anything he'd ever done. The stories he told me of the making of Williamstown, by the way, could be a whole other podcast in itself. The way that Richard went about writing this movie that basically had no dialogue was by listening to these pieces of music by Ralph Vaughan Williams and sketching out a whole world that reflected what emotional place the music was putting him in. When he shot this film, he had a stopwatch around his neck so he could time the actors precisely to the music. The shoot apparently was so complex that half the crew stormed off set in the middle of shooting. They just quit. And Richard had to find a whole new crew to accomplish his vision for this movie. So, Richard announced to me he was going to find a way to bring back Williamstown, despite the original film negatives being lost, by taking the sole surviving videotape master and finding a way to upscale it, using the most cutting-edge technology that currently exists. Richard, since his diagnosis, has literally spent every day researching and testing technologies that could transform this once lost film into a contemporary, ultra-high definition production. I have no doubt that Richard is going to succeed in this. Because the fact is, every long shot idea he's ever dreamed up and stuck to, he's made a reality. Some of them have failed, but others, like several of his inventions, made him $1 million. Richard, as always, is determined not to go out without a fight. As the year wore on, I would try to do anything I could to brighten Richard's day. So when I went to shoot an interview with the girl with the scar, Susie Scott, for the home video release of Student Confidential, I saw an opportunity to connect two people who hadn't spoken in 40 years. Hey, Richard, it's Nick.
Hey, Nick.
Okay, I have someone here who wishes to speak to you.
I can't believe I'm talking to you. So I have to say something, okay?
I wish you would.
Okay, so you scared me to death when I first met you, and then you turned out to be the sweetest, most, encouraging person during one of the most intimidating experiences of my life. So thank you for being so sweet.
Well, I got something to say to you.
What?
I miss the hell out of you.
I miss it. Well, then, so can you be in my life now that
I really miss the hell. I just miss you so much. You made me laugh.
You made
you laugh.
You made me safe. You know, I was so insecure, and you made me safe. I would have done anything for you. I would have done anything for you.
Oh man, it is so good to talk to you. Well,
I miss you too. So do you mind, is it okay if I get your phone number from Nick and maybe we could have a longer conversation and keep in touch?
Yeah, that would be absolutely great.
When Richard talks about Student Confidential, he often says that each of the students who the counselor is trying to help represent a facet of ourselves that the audience would identify with. Marlon Jackson's character was someone who hid from the difficulty of having to relate to other people. Susie Scott's character was someone who, no matter how beautiful she was, only believed the world saw her scars. And Eric Douglas's character was someone who felt unable to escape the expectations a parent had placed on him. These are all universal aspects of the human experience. And they're also aspects of the man who made this movie. This inventor from Michigan who loved to design machines, who carried with him a burden of feeling unable to be part of this world. This man who took that feeling of alienation and sought escape from it by putting himself in a movie. I now know, when I first saw this film, that I was mistaken about something. I now know that the guy who made this movie, that guy who was up on screen at that all-night movie marathon staring back at me with those unmistakable eyes of his, he wasn't some crackpot. He was a human being. And if I could talk to my younger self now, I would say, hey, that guy up there, the one you think is a little ridiculous, you're actually looking into a mirror. That's actually you. And really, the only difference between you and Richard Horian, that guy, he wrote, produced, directed, edited, composed the music, performed the music, and starred in a movie. Have you? All of us are full of contradictions, and Richard is no different. Sometimes when I talk to him, he's gripped by despair, grieving over the things he's never been able to achieve. But other times, I see a different side to him, where he reflects on the incredible things that he's done with pride.
Why do you do it? Why does one do it? Why did I do it? There is something deep inside. I'm being as truthful as I possibly can. It's not ego. I want to be a movie star. I want everybody to know who I am. It's not that. So if it's not that, then what is it? I want to make $100 million. Well, I was already rich. I was throwing it away. Threw all my fortune away. $1 million was a lot of money back then, 70s. So it wasn't money. So what the hell was it? And what it was is that we have this thing deep inside of us. Those of us who think, those of us who feel, have this thing inside of us that we have to let out. Just so that it's a mirror that we're looking at ourselves. And first time we get to see ourselves. Because when we're looking out, we don't see anything but everything that's out there. We don't get to see ourselves, and a mirror doesn't do the trick. You have to take your guts, your heart, your soul, your innards, and push them out of yourself. And in my case, I had to. I had to make my movies. That was it. There was no rationalization. I shouldn't have. I should have had a rich life. But no, I took the route of going to make movies, and regardless of the pain it caused or whatever, it allowed me to get what was inside here out to here. And for that, I don't have that particular kind of hurt on the inside anymore. That's gone. There ain't nothing that I wanted to do that I didn't try. I either succeeded or I failed. But I did try to do absolutely everything I wanted to try to do. And that's it. That's the end.
Student Confidential now sits in Hollywood, California, in a temperature-controlled vault, preserved for a future generation of filmmakers and fans. It's one of thousands of films there, all of them lined up in row after row of canisters, each of them treated with the same amount of care. Here, Richard's film is equal even to the cans there containing another singular film, a film that, if you squint, you might also be able to call a vanity project, just one of a different kind. A movie created, directed, and even starring a young upstart without any film experience at all.
Citizen Kane is beyond brilliant. And when you think of the fact that the guy was 25 years old, that is mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling. And he was a Richard. He did everything himself. He took complete control, and he pulled it off. Oh, he pulled it off in spades. And we, as the audience, we saw it, and most of us liked it. A lot of people don't understand that at all, don't like it. But for me, 30% of the people liked my film, 70% hated it. For Citizen Kane, 70% of the people loved it, and 30% hated it, thought it was a waste of time and money. But then the funny thing happened. Orson Welles did it. He did it. He made one of the greatest movies, maybe the greatest movie ever made. What was he going to do now? Well, guess what? He was done. There was no place to go. When you reach the epitome, you do the ultimate, where do you go from there?
It must be fascinating, creating a world filled with dreams and romance.
You want to be in pictures too?
Oh no. But I would like to live in a world like that.
Yeah? Let's create one.
In March and April of 1985, Richard Horian achieved the ultimate. Writing, producing, directing, editing, composing, and performing the music for and starring in a movie, without having any prior experience. By anyone's definition, his reach had exceeded his grasp. On screen, Richard had created a strange world of broken people, but with a happy ending, where the promise of healing was on the horizon. And this is what it's like every time we see a movie. We glimpse a world that makes perfect sense briefly, before we emerge back into the light of reality and are faced with the question, where do we go from here? No one knows the answer to that. What matters is we get that glimpse. With Student Confidential, Richard created his own world of dreams and romance. And if it wasn't for a chance 7 a.m. viewing 37 years ago, a glue gun patent on YouTube, a broken promise in a film warehouse, a $500 shipping bill, we would have lost that world forever. But we haven't. So, if you're looking for something to watch tonight, let me tell you about this movie. The Vanity Project is a production of Topic Studios, presented by SpectreVision Radio and made in association with Severin Films. It was created and narrated by me, Nicholas McCarthy, produced by Nicholas McCarthy with Graham Resnick, edited and mixed by Graham Resnick. Special thanks to Sean Kilcoyne of the Academy Film Archive for helping me arrange the deposit of Richard's film. Also thanks to Jerry Pyle, who worked as an editor on a pair of the special features I produced for the Student Confidential Blu-ray and helped sort through many of the interviews I did with Richard and his cast and crew of the film. A big thank you to Christine Connor at Topic Studios, Daniel Noah at SpectreVision, and David Gregory at Severin, along with everyone who works with them, for believing in this project and making it happen. A very special thanks to Zena Gray, who edited the video portion of the podcast, which was created by myself and Graham Resnick, with assistance from Rodney Asher. Some of that footage was shot at the great Vidiot's Foundation Theater and Video Rental Store in Los Angeles. Thank you to Maggie McKay for allowing us to film there. Please visit vidiotsfoundation.org for their schedule of screenings and events, and find out ways to become a member and support this great organization. The music you've been hearing was composed and performed by Richard Horian, written and recorded for his film, Student Confidential, which can finally be seen in all its glory on a television and maybe even a theater near you. As Richard would say, the end.